Okay, in 1833, we have the falling of the stars. All right. Sister White comments on this in The Great Controversy, page 333. She says, in 1833, 2 years after Miller began to present in public the evidences of his soon coming. So when did Miller begin to present in public the evidence of his soon coming? 1831, evidently. And what he did is he began to write articles that were being published. Okay, this doesn't necessarily mean that he's standing in the pulpit in 1831, but it is historical fact that he began to have his work published in 31. In 1833, 2 years after Miller began to present in public the evidence of Christ's soon coming, the last of the signs appeared which were promised by the Savior as tokens of the second advent. Said Jesus, the stars shall fall from heaven, Matthew 24:29. And John in the Revelation declared, as he beheld in vision the scenes that should herald the day of God, the stars of heaven fell unto earth, even as a fig tree casteth her timely figs when she is shaken of a mighty wind. This prophecy received a striking and impressive fulfillment in the great meteoric shower of November 13th, 1833. And notice, this is William Miller's testimony here. I like this testimony. You will too, probably. On Saturday after breakfast. So how would we say that today? Sabbath. He wouldn't know it. He wasn't a Sabbath keeper. He never did become a Sabbath keeper. But on Sabbath after breakfast, in the summer of 1833, I sat down at my desk to examine some point, and as I rose to go out to work, it came home to me with more force than ever, go and tell it to the world. The impression was so sudden and came with such force that I settled down into my chair saying, I can't go, Lord. Why not? Seemed to be the response. And then all my excuses came up, my want of ability, but my distress became so great I entered into a solemn covenant with God that if He would open the way, I would go and perform my duty to the world. What do you mean by opening the way? Seemed to come to me. Why, said I, if I should have an invitation to speak publicly in any place, I will go and tell them what I find in the Bible about the Lord's coming. Instantly all my burden was gone, and I rejoiced that I should not probably be thus called upon, for I'd never had such an invitation. My trials were not known, and I had but little expectation of being invited to any field of labor. In about a half an hour from this time, before I'd left the room, a son of Mr. Guilford of Dresden, about 16 miles from my residence, came in and said that his father had sent for me and wished me to go home with him. Supposing that he'd wished to see me on some business, I asked him what he wanted. He replied that there was to be no preaching in their church the next day, and his father wished to have me come and talk to the people on the subject of the Lord's coming. I was immediately angry with myself for having made the covenant I had. I rebelled at once against the Lord and determined not to go. I left the boy without giving him any answer and retired in great distress to a grove nearby. Then I struggled with the Lord for about an hour and endeavoring to release myself from the covenant I had made with him, but I could get no relief. It impressed upon my conscience, will you make a covenant with God and break it so soon? And the exceeding sinfulness of thus doing overwhelmed me. I finally submitted and promised the Lord that if He would sustain me, I would go, trusting in Him to give me grace and ability to perform all He should require of me. I returned to the house and found the boy still waiting. He remained till after dinner, and I returned with him to Dresden. And that's how Miller, in the summer of 1833, began to publicly, in person, present the message. And what did the Lord do for him then? He sustained it, but in December of 1833, He produced the falling of the stars to put a solemnity with His message.